All right, welcome to another Jags podcast. And I know we're all over the place with the episode numbers.
It's got to be 100 though, right?
We're at 97 now.
Dang.
97. We're at 97. So we're almost there to 100. Make sure to follow our Twitter. We are at Another Jags Pod. Instagram, Another Jags Pod. I'm here with Joey tonight, like always.
And I guarantee you, we will be more entertaining tonight than Jaguars were on Sunday.
That's probably true, but you never know.
It'd be almost impossible not to be.
We are sitting here. We hope you've listened to our last podcast, which was we did an interview. We basically just sat around and we talked with Zach Goodall.
Who was awesome.
Yeah,
it was so much fun, man.
He's with Gators Maven now, but he used to work for Locked On Jaguars. Most people know who he is if you're familiar with Twitter or anything like that. Great dude. I mean, dude, listening to that guy talk it's like you're like, no wonder that guy's been so successful in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young guy that loves football, obviously, and is just knows his stuff, man. He's very well, just everything. I'm impressed.
Like when you and me talk, I don't really think about what I'm going to say before I say it.
No.
When I was talking to him, I was like, dude, I better make sure this makes sense.
No, I asked him questions, and I was like, all right. I was thinking about him while you were talking, like, all right, should I say it this way or should I say it this way? Because I don't want to come across bad.
But great interview. He talked about, the Jags and the history of the Jags and what he's seen and what he thinks where we're at now. Make sure to check it out. But we are here recording after the Jags have lost to the Chargers. And
is lost a big enough word? I'm sorry to bust up your but I don't think lost is enough.
We got destroyed. But I wanted to bridge it into my only point I wanted to make all night tonight.
Well, I've done my job.
3 quarterbacks threw touchdowns in that game. Do you know who the 3 quarterbacks were, Joey?
Oh, jeez. Yes, I do. It would be Sir Phillips Rivers.
Phil Rivers.
Minshew Mania.
Gardner Minshew.
And wait for it, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
Dude, you could have thrown a touchdown against us in that game. That's not pumping your boy Tyrod.
It was so funny how
I got a text within like 0.05 seconds of him throwing that touchdown. I hope you're watching the game, Joey, because Tyrod Taylor just threw a touchdown.
Okay, we were on the podcast last week, and we were in the preview episode, and we were talking about Tyrod Taylor, and I said Tyrod Taylor is going to come in and throw a touchdown against the Jags.
I don't know what I respond to with that.
And it happened.
It did. It happened.
Can you imagine if I would have put money on that? If I would have put money on that Tyrod Taylor was going to come in and throw a touchdown? Honestly, the odds probably wouldn't have been that insane because the Jags have been really bad the last couple of weeks. But
I'm pretty sure the Chargers equipment guy threw a touchdown.
He was calling plays probably out there.
he had the headset on at one point.
All right, so we're pretty much in like blow-up mode now. We're in rebuild mode. We're going to start cutting up players, film. We're going to talk about guys that we want, depending on where we pick and things like that. We had some nice discussion about that on our last podcast.
Yeah, it's not quite draft talk yet, but it's
almost.
It's getting there.
It's getting there.
Getting there quick.
We did ask on Twitter, and we asked you guys, let's get up here. Besides GM and coach, what is priority number 1 for the Jags this offseason? Nick Warren, and he's at Nick Warren 32, said linebacker or defensive tackle, which another position that Zach mentioned, which is a position I never really thought about drafting.
How could you not, though, with our run defense?
Because Darius is going to be gone.
Yeah, but since Darius has been out, it's been atrocious.
Yeah, but I think Taven Bryan could play in there. I think Campbell moves in there next year. It's just
you don't think Campbell's gone? Is he going to
renegotiate
again?
I think he comes back. Yeah, I think he comes back. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have linebacker seems like a much bigger position to need to me.
I agree.
So I'm a big fan of Isaiah Simmons, linebacker from Clemson. Rangy linebacker, athletic linebacker. Zach brought up a good point. Said he could play like any position on defense, probably. Like he could play safety, he could probably play D tackle. Maybe not. I mean, you know what I mean. Like he's just a freak. And yeah, linebacker and D tackle.
I love the guys that are athletic. I love the guys that can play. Hey, they can do this, they can do that. I almost want guys that are like, this is all this dude can freaking play. I want somebody who's like 350 pounds and a beast in the middle.
No,
I want a middle linebacker that he's a middle linebacker. He's not going to drop back in coverage and cover a wide receiver or tight end Because we have those guys, and they're putting them in positions and be like, oh, they're athletic. And instead of doing what they're supposed to do, they try to be athletic and overrun coverages and miss tackles. And I want guys that play a position.
I think you're confusing athletic guys with people that have been playing bad for the Jags.
Miles Jack would be a prime example of that.
Miles Jack's been playing outside of his position.
So he should be an outside linebacker?
Yes.
Okay, well, fair enough then.
Yeah,
if you agree with that, because nobody else seems to.
Yeah, I mean, you put him out outside. I mean, that's just where he's better. He can like we're saying, he can rely on his athleticism. You put him and Simmons out there at the same time. I mean, you're covering sideline to sideline with as much athleticism as anybody in the league.
I'd rather them take Brown from Auburn.
Yeah, Brown would be a good pick. I mean, again, D tackle, another position that is kind of growing on me, but man, those just aren't sexy picks, man.
I think if we answer that question, though, we should rank like what we think our top 3 needs are.
Well, let's get to more of what they say on Twitter, and maybe it'll come out through there. Mike Wilbraham says, defensive coordinator, executive vice president, top of my list. Is that what EVP stands for? I don't know.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. You nailed it.
Okay.
Just run with it.
We have so many holes, though linebacker has been a real problem. But we have to address the trenches on both sides of the ball. What positions do you target in free agency and which in the draft?
I'm going to throw out that I think offensive line and quarterback are least worries at this point.
How can you say that offensive line is the least worry? It's terrible.
It hasn't been as bad as the defensive line.
They both have been really bad.
It has not been as bad as the defensive line.
The offensive line has been pretty bad.
It has not been great, but it's been okay. And you get a stud tight end that can block as well. Maybe add a fullback for like nothing per year that can block, and you fixed it for the most part. Defensive line, 200 yards every single game for the past, 4 or 5 games?
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
I mean, that's way worse.
Look, I agree, dude. Defense. I'm a big proponent of defense, but how many years in a row are we going to draft defensive players with nothing to show for it?
Let me rephrase that. The right defensive players.
Okay. I mean, obviously, we all want the right player, but it's just I want to see a first round wide receiver. Look, I get it. Look, we've had busts, but you know what? Some of them don't bust.
You just contradicted yourself, man. You said the offensive line and defensive line are huge issues.
They are.
You say go wide receiver number 1?
Yeah, because look, I'm kind of getting ahead here to Pete, and he's at Coach L tweets, and he says the team has the team needs an identity.
Well, we have an identity. It just sucks. We're a power running team that can't power run.
Yeah, no, our identity is smash mouth with Fournette and athleticism on defense. But Fournette can't do anything because there's no offensive line help, and the defense is pathetic. But I just want to see the Jags go out and just get a true number 1. Put out there with DJ Chark. You have 2 receivers, and look, your O line's bad, but get it into the hands of your best guys on a screen. I mean, we see teams winning with third-string quarterbacks and teams winning with makeshift offensive lines because they have playmakers on their team that they can get the ball to, and they can overcome all those things. Fournette isn't a guy that can do that. Chark has to have a quarterback that can throw him a ball. He's not a guy that can catch it on the screen and make moves or catch it on the inside and run up the field.
I think he can. We're just not using him that way. He has 70 catches this year. He's like third in catches by running backs, and most of them are just crap dump downs. Why not try him at that? We haven't tried him at that. He catches everything thrown to him for the most part. Try him at something else.
He doesn't really make people miss.
Who cares?
He just tries to he runs through arm tackles and he picks up extra yards.
Put him in like a slot formation.
Yeah, I mean, I just
try something different.
Well, hopefully they do. But if we know one thing about DeFilippo, he doesn't like to try things different.
I don't know, man. If we don't draft a stud tight end with one of our top 3 picks, I might be on another Baltimore Ravens podcast next year.
I don't think they go tight end.
We have to draft a tight end.
I think they maybe try to solve that through free agency.
Dude, you say that every year.
And they don't.
We suck every year because we don't have that.
They don't. I mean, they tried one time with Safarian Jenkins. That ended up being terrible. And, you look at a guy like Marcedes Lewis. He's out there still making plays.
What about the Denver tight end we got in free agency that sucked as well?
Yeah, Julius Thomas.
Okay, let's not go that route. Let's draft a legitimate tight end.
We tried that with Josh Oliver, and he couldn't.
Dude, that wasn't legitimate. He was from a school that nobody's ever heard of before, man.
Well,
San Diego State.
I mean, he was like the third tight end,
they're really good, like skate team. Like they were good on the ramp.
Yeah, but
man.
I mean, he was like the third or fourth tight end taken. There wasn't like
year before that we passed on like 3 legitimate.
Year before that we did. We passed on a lot of good guys: Goddard, Andrews, Hayden Hurst. Actually, he was drafted before us, before Taven. But still, like, yeah, you're right. We did pass on a bunch. I don't know, man. I just feel like when you're drafting that high, you got to get. guy that is going to impact every play. And I just don't know if a tight end does that. I think tight ends could go entire series without making a difference.
You being like the X's and O's guys, like tight ends when they're not catching the ball, they're not blocking.
No, they are, but I mean, there's plays where they're blocking and the run goes to the other side.
Sure.
I feel like a D lineman. I feel like a receiver. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a bad argument, but you just feel like a tight end. There's a reason why tight ends don't get drafted number 1 overall. It's because they don't affect the game the way a D end or a quarterback or a receiver or a DB or someone like that does.
Well, no, quarterback, that's a good option. I mean, we'll be picking 2 or 3 probably. So, Burrow or Ertz?
I don't think we're picking 2. I think we're picking like 5. I think the Dolphins end with a worse record than us. I think the Bengals end with a worse record than us.
The Dolphins are playing harder than anybody in the league.
Yeah, but they're not winning.
They are here and there.
I know,
we're not.
I can see the Jags maybe winning one more.
Who?
I can see them beating the Raiders. I can see them.
Dude, are you kidding me?
I mean, last game in Oakland, I know that's going to be a tough game. But, I don't know. I think they could steal one somewhere. And then they're at 5 wins, and you're not picking 2 or 3 with 5 wins. It's just
true.
Unfortunate, but it's okay. We don't need a draft there. It is what it is. I mean, it's you got to draft where you're at, and regardless of where you're at.
Just getting depressing quick.
Let's move on to Twitter. Jason Rat says O-line is the biggest issue.
I disagree.
I'm with you, Jason. Look, you can't win without an offensive line. There's never been a team that has been successful with a terrible offensive line. Never.
You also can't win when you can't stop anybody at all. Run or pass. It doesn't matter.
So if they're both preventing you can't win if you can't score, that's for sure. And if you can't score without an offensive line, it becomes which one's more important. And offensive line is just crucially important.
If you're scored on every play, then you're forced to pass, and the opposing team's defense knows what you're going to do. You can't be a running team when you're down 3 touchdowns by the second quarter.
If you're not down 3 touchdowns, if you're tied 14-14, and then you can run the ball then. It just all depends on what you have. And here's the issue, is offensive line is much harder to evaluate. It's hard to look at a college kid and say he's going to translate to the pro as an offensive lineman.
True.
I mean, I think one time I was like, this dude is surefire going to be a great player. Quentin Nelson for the Colts.
Yeah. Doesn't Will Hernandez play offensive line as well?
Who?
Will Hernandez?
Yeah, but even him, I mean, he's okay. I mean, he's
been pretty solid.
Good. He's been good. But, I mean, again, he was not a guy that I was like, okay, this dude is 100% going to be an NFL starter for years to come. It's hard to do that with the offensive line. And in fact, I'm wrong more times than I'm right.
So you shouldn't even try.
You look at guys like Luke Jokel was a guy everyone thought was going to be good. I understand the whole draft was bad, but people thought he was going to be good. What's his name? Alabama, Jonah Williams, man, that was a guy that I was like, man, Jonah Williams is going to be a surefire, steady offensive lineman for years to come. And then you see guys do it that are just like, there's a dude from Florida just graduated recently or sent to the pros, and I'm like, man, he was like pretty good, but I would never thought he's as good as he is. Man, it's going to kill me. Oh well, but it happens with offensive line. It's hard to know. Jake Matthews, another guy from Texas A&M. A guy everyone thought was going to be good.
Well, is that why people say take them late second round, third, fourth round, because it's hit or miss regardless?
Yeah, I mean that could be fair, but you do have to address it, and whether that be through free agency and the draft, but you can't roll into next year with.
Okay, well, with that being said, though, I mean that's kind of an argument for that's not our biggest need because we're not going to draft an offensive lineman in the first or second round.
I think you can have the biggest need and still take the best available player and it not be your biggest need. And I think the best available player at 3, 4, 5 will be a D lineman, linebacker, or receiver.
What receiver? You don't take receivers in the first round either.
Judy, no. You can find. I mean, receivers pop off.
Top 10?
Yeah, man. Like Julio Jones, AJ Green, a guy like that. You got to take them.
So who? Well, it's
Alabama has like 3 guys that could all be good.
Always have 3 guys though.
Yeah, but these 3 guys are really good. Even though,
fair enough.
Judy. Who's the dude? Ruggs, and then the other dude that just went off against LSU. I can't remember his name, but they got 3 out there that are pretty good. And not like they have the most consistent quarterbacks. I think Mac Jones is out there throwing the ball, so you never know.
So again, you think wide receiver,
linebacker, or D line?
I think D line linebacker. I'll agree with that.
D-line, D tackle is just so like unless it's a guy do like Quinnen Williams, it's just not a sexy position, and I hate that.
I still think we need tight end though. That's my third for the wide receiver.
The Kenny says D tackle, then O line.
I can't argue that.
Yeah. Rodney Marney says, make sure we have a plan at quarterback, whether that be Minshew or draft.
Guys, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. I've said this over and over. We are going to have Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew competing for the starting job come next season.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, I'm not done yet. Whether we have drafted another quarterback in the draft, that's possible as well. I mean, if a stud falls to us, take him. Like the Patriots, draft quarterback every year. But Foles ain't going anywhere, man.
Yeah, I don't know, because if you bring in a new GM, I think all bets are off. You bring in a new GM, and he doesn't care. Nick Foles doesn't care about Minshew, doesn't care about any of that. So, in fact, he probably wants to get his own guy.
Well, I would be really upset with the GM that we pick if we're going to have somewhat of cap issues because we need to cut cap space, and he cuts a guy that's just going to be dead cap space. I mean, that would be a stupid move this year. Now, next year, different story.
I have an idea. I
can see you. You've got a good one.
You heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first. You trade Foles to a team that needs a quarterback, the Bucks.
You don't think they're re-signing Winston?
No, the Bucks, a team that maybe the Dolphins, a team like that, and in addition to Foles, you also trade them Gardner Minshew, so that they get a quarterback for the future, and they get Nick Foles. So instead of giving a third round to a team to take Foles, and instead of trading Minshew for a third round pick, you just package them together, send them to a team, and voila.
The Jaguars would make national headlines as the first team to trade away both of their starting quarterbacks. That would be amazing.
Then you draft Tua with your pick.
If we draft Tua, I'm going
to
bang my head against the wall. Because Tua is guaranteed. If we draft Tua, he's guaranteed to be like Bo Jackson with like a career-ending, blood not getting to your hip injury. If he goes anywhere else, he's going to be a stud. But if we draft him, done.
No. I think we take Tua. We dump Foles' contract. We dump because we traded him to a team that's going to pay him. And then we don't have the Minshew issue there. Tua comes in as a starter. You bring in a guy like, Tyrod Taylor to be your backup. Probably get him on a cheap deal. And
why would the Chargers give up Tyrod with Philip Rivers?
That's true.
Like falling from grace.
Yeah. And then you have all that cap money. Like, obviously, it's not going to happen. But
it's hilarious.
But no. You get a guy. My question to you is, and my point is that you get a new GM in here. He doesn't care about Foles or Minshew.
Doesn't care. I know he doesn't care about. He doesn't. You're right. He could give a crap about any of that. What he's going to care about though is cap space and what he can play with.
If the GM wants his own quarterback, then he's just biding time until Foles' contract's off the books.
I get that, but nobody's expecting the GM to fix things in a year, right?
Right.
Okay. So he knows he's got at least 2-3 years, and he knows that he can't do anything with the cap space with a quarterback this year. Next year he can, and there's good quarterbacks coming out next year. So it didn't happen this year, guys. Everybody needs to just like swallow that pill.
The big question will be what happens with Tom Coughlin. Does Tom Coughlin keep the job or does he not? Because that's the deciding factor. If Coughlin is here next year, you're right. It's Foles and Minshew. If Coughlin is not here next year, I think it's open competition and they bring another guy in. And because, look, I love Minshew as much as anybody, but, he has shown that he does not have the ability to overcome the atrocious talent around him, which no one could, to be fair. So it's not like we're all confident that he's the answer as much as I would like him to be. All right. How about we take a quick break for the podcast?
You got to pee?
No. I just we're about 20 minutes, and it's a good time for a break. And we want to let our sponsors get a word in because what would we do without our sponsors?
And who are those sponsors this month, Jason?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I haven't done my research, but it's someone. It's someone. Shout out to SB Nation. Shout out to Overtime Media, they're hooking up the sponsors. It's someone. Support them.
We have to re-record that portion. I mean,
No,
it's the 9th of the month.
We're
man.
gonna let it ride. I'll figure it out for the next one.
All right.
Sit tight, and then we're gonna get to the rest of your Twitter comments and responses and things like that. So just hang tight, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to another Jags podcast. This is episode 97. Episode 97. Joe,
98 though, right now. 97 was.
that's a good point, man.
Where's
I have
Zach?
no clue where we're at.
We're
now.
98.
98.
Yes.
I don't even know why we even do.
We're never getting to 100 by
We're
Jason's math ever. We'll be at 99 for all eternity.
We're gonna do a special something for the 100th episode. I don't know what it is yet, but it will be special. I kind of have an idea, but I don't even want to tease that.
Do you
yet.
want to tease it?
Don't even want to tease it.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been asking you guys on Twitter what you guys thought about the Jaguars' future, and we want to get your responses on that. So let's go ahead and take a look over at what more you guys had to say. Jay said Jan, meaning like get Jan signed.
I mean, yay, right? I mean, you got to re-sign him.
Yeah, I mean, TJD said pay Jan. Oshki said at and Yannick Ngakoue. Let's see here. There's a couple other ones here. A bunch of guys just saying pay Jan. Like, that's it.
The problem, though, I think, is that he's not going to get more money than they offered him at the beginning of the season. Would you agree?
I love Yannick Ngakoue, but
I do too.
I'm not sold on a guy that he's going to be a premier pass rusher.
That's what I'm saying. I
mean, he's going to be good. And
yeah.
I think he is good. He's really good. And he makes one good play a game.
He's a team guy. He doesn't get in trouble. I mean,
he's
hard
a lot
worker.
of like altercations.
Sure,
because you notice that
because he's passionate though. Like I think it's like good altercations.
I don't know, man. Like when it happened with Dante Fowler, I remember everyone was like, Dante Fowler is the bad egg, and Ngakoue is the good egg. It's good versus evil. And now you're seeing Ngakoue fight literally everyone.
Dude, he's fought Linder. Who else has he fought?
He gets in little spats on the field all the time. I mean, it's like, dude, like calm down a little bit. You know, I mean, I love the guy. I don't people think I don't like him, but. Man, for what he was demanding and for how he's played, it's a little like. Okay,
and that's the thing. I think the Jaguars are going to try to pay him, but it's not. I mean, I think it might be less than it was at the beginning of the season. And he's going to, if he balked at that, why wouldn't he balk at the same number or less? I mean, it might not be an issue of the Jaguars trying to pay him. It's him wanting more money. And good luck on the open market, man, because I don't think you're going to get that.
Chandler Berger says the blowouts this year show we desperately need more and better linebackers.
Yes.
I like how you got there.
I absolutely agree.
Dalton Carter says a catapult that can launch Tom Coughlin into the sun.
All right, beef.
That doesn't like a beef.
It was a beef. No, beef or he's in the morning. Yeah, it was definitely beef.
That's definitely a beef quote. I think Dalton.
But I don't disagree whatsoever. I mean, maybe not into the sun. He does a lot of good stuff outside of football. So let's just time to retire.
We don't care. Yeah, we don't care about what he does outside of football.
I mean, I do.
Not me, dude.
As long as he retires, like
get me wins.
The good thing for him to do, which I mean has been briefly mentioned, just step down, bro. I mean, like you're 4?
I don't even know.
Your time's obviously passed. You're getting tons of heat. I mean, why keep it up?
Because he's competitive. And
yeah, but nobody likes him though. I mean, like everybody, if he looks at the newspaper, listens to the radio, anything, listens to a podcast, dude, he's getting ripped all across everywhere. I mean, man, just step down, do the right thing.
Yeah, I agree, but I think he's stubborn old man. He's not going to do that. But
he's definitely stubborn and old.
Matthew Thomas says linebacker. I wonder if this is the Matthew Thomas that played linebacker at Florida State. That'd be ironic.
Yeah.
Michelle,
are you available?
Michelle Batten said, rebuild the defense. Thank you, Michelle. I agree with you.
Well, you said offensive line, dude.
I'm everywhere, dude. I'm everywhere.
You can't do everything, though.
James.
I'm the one that said defense.
James, and he's at Willie J904, said quarterback, left tackle, D-line, linebacker, safety, corner, linebacker, pick 2.
Pick 2?
No, meaning like
pick two out of
meaning
all that.
like yeah.
Linebacker, safety.
I'm gonna say left tackle, linebacker.
So you're that worried about Cam?
Yeah, I think he's doo-doo. Honestly, Jawan Taylor's been looking bad. And I understand he's a rookie and that you get beat, but he does not look good right now. I guess I got to tell you right now. Nestler, and he's at Almighty Nez, says a replacement for Norwell and the rest of the offensive line.
It's not happening, man.
Well, we've spent too much equity in the offensive line.
And also the point is, what are you going to do? Stick 4 rookies at offensive line?
Yes.
No, you're not going to do that. You just said yourself that it's hit or miss on even picking a guy from college that can play offensive line. You're going to stick 4 rookies in there.
I was just kidding. You can't do that. But, I mean, you can keep
2?
You can keep Jawan Taylor.
Yeah. Linder?
Linder's kind of overpriced.
He is overpriced. I didn't say he wasn't overpriced. I
wouldn't mind seeing him go.
But you're going to replace your center.
Yeah. Replace center. I think you could put.
So you keep Norwell then.
I think you could put Richardson at right guard. I think Cam Robinson, you give him 1 more year to. I think you give him like 4 more games. You give Cam Robinson like 4 more games.
But then you're not addressing left tackle.
No, I think you address left tackle. You just
put you're talking about the rest of this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
And then left guard. Man, that's a dumb.
So you're not getting rid of. Dude, you're not getting rid of Linder and Norwell.
Yeah, I think you keep Norwell
and get rid of Linder.
Get rid of Linder. Yeah.
Okay. I could not argue with that.
Yeah. But that's just me. You never know what can happen. I mean, who knows? I mean, literally, we're talking about all this stuff. We don't know who the coach is going to be. We don't know who the GM is going to be. We don't know who any of these people are going to be. So, look, the Jags have problems right now. There's no getting around it.
The last 4 games were the worst NFL team in the past 33 years.
That's crazy to me, man.
There's not been a team in 33 years that's lost 4 games by more than 20 points.
I can look at the team as I'm watching the games and say this is one of the worst teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just from my eyeball test.
It's not about talent either, though. I mean, like, there is talent on the team.
I think it is about talent.
I don't think so. I think it's about effort, man. I think it's completely about effort.
I mean, this team has 100% gave up.
Yeah.
I mean, this team gave up a long time ago, and we've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
That leads us into next week's game.
That's
Jacksonville at Oakland.
Oakland, who just played their butt off last week.
Oh, they lost 21-42 to the Titans.
Still, though, they're playoff contenders.
Right.
Titans are balling in the second half of the season, though.
Yeah, they really are.
Tannehill for Pro Bowl.
Yeah, man. If only someone on this podcast had talked about Tannehill being underrated and how the Jags should actually make an offer at him because he's better than people think. But I
don't think I knocked that one.
We'll move past that.
I've knocked a lot of your quarterback picks, but I thought Tannehill the same thing.
Yeah,
he's not a $100 million quarterback, but he's worth what he's getting paid right now.
Is he worth $88 million? So the Raiders. Derek Carr is their quarterback. He was 25 for 34, 263 and 2 touchdowns. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah,
they just got. I mean, their
Derrick
defense
Henry
couldn't stop
ran
anybody.
for another like 200 yards, didn't he?
Derrick Henry's a beast.
That guy's like
dude.
leading the league right now, right?
He had 103 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Kind of cool to see a somewhat Jacksonville boy like
although is
mature.
He really Jacksonville?
Yeah,
he's Yulee.
Close enough.
Yeah,
nobody's ever heard of Yulee.
DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard, 2 guys that you've probably never heard of, Joey.
I was about to say the same thing.
We'll both go for over 100 yards rushing against the Jags. So
it doesn't matter who's rushing against us at this point. I mean, honestly, it doesn't.
You will.
Because if they break through the line, nobody's tackling them.
Like, I don't even want to look through this. I don't even want to even talk about the Raiders' offense because it doesn't matter who is there. This is pathetic, man. Like,
last podcast, you said we were going to win one more game. So we got the Raiders.
Yeah.
We got Indy, and we got what? One more, right?
Let's see here. Let's look at the official schedule here. Jacksonville Jaguars have the Raiders, the Falcons, and the Colts.
And Falcons are playing like
they're not beating those teams.
Yeah, first half of the season, the Falcons suck. They're playing awesome. Colts are going to be playing probably for a playoff spot at that point.
The only chance we have is to beat the Raiders.
Yeah. Which we play great on the West Coast, so that's working in our favor.
The Raiders do not have a lot of weapons, though. I mean,
they haven't been bad this year, though, man. I mean, they got a good coach.
Okay.
I mean, Chucky has got them playing good.
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing. They have no. I mean, I think
they were even trying for this.
Andrew Walter is their receiver, or Waller. I don't know. I mean,
is that the guy that we had for like a week?
Not Andrew Waller. It's Darren Waller. Andrew Walter is the guy we had. That was terrible. Darren Waller is a good player. Rico Gafford. If I asked the average NFL fan, they wouldn't know who any of these people are at all. DeAndre Washington.
I think if you ask anybody on the West Coast,
Tyrell Williams.
If you ask anybody on the West Coast to name the Jaguars 3 starting wide receivers that didn't play fantasy football, they couldn't name them either.
I think they would name Chark, Westbrook.
Dude, nobody on the West Coast saw Chark play at Louisiana because they had no offense then.
People know Chark. People know Westbrook. I don't think people know Conley. I think people would still say Marquise Lee. I think people would,
Jimmy Smith,
Alan Hearns. I mean, I don't even know. It's not looking good. You're right. If they don't win this week, then they're losing out, and then we're really talking draft. But man, here's the bottom line for me. The front office should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, college football teams, it's hard to lose 45-10. It doesn't happen in the pros, man. I mean, one-offs like here and there. It's an absolute just disgrace. It's embarrassing.
I know it seems like you and me come in here and don't try, but we try.
We do try.
If we came in here and we, the audio was cutting in and out, the video was cutting in and out for YouTube.
Yeah, that would be a huge problem. We'd invest some time into fixing that.
Yeah, we came in here saying the wrong players' names.
We had Zach Goddard on last episode. I mean, come on.
I mean,
it's about trying.
You
make changes. You do something.
Make changes, yeah, you do something, and we would be ashamed of ourselves. Is what I'm getting.
And here's the thing. I mean, the bright spot to me. Again, everybody's talking about fire everybody right now. Why hasn't anybody been fired? Honestly, I couldn't. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
maybe firing the coach because it gives you a little bit of a head start on that. But if they don't come in and fire everybody, I mean, Khan's a businessman. How many people were at that last game? Like 10,000?
It didn't look good.
I mean,
bad weather, bad team,
how many
not a
people?
good combo.
How many people you think would be at that Colts game?
I think you might get a little more at the Colts than
But
with the
dude, a little
Chargers.
more is not 60-something thousand seats.
You're right. You're right.
So the only thing that's going to help things right now as far as season ticket sales go next year is a big splash at GM and coach.
Maybe they can get Mike Norvell.
Norvell is not available.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, point being, like he's got to do something, and he's not stupid. He's built himself, bootstraps type of guy.
Yeah.
I have faith in the fact that he's not going to let his, legend, whatever you want to call it, like be disgraced by what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have an inside source on this. Can't give the exact details, but I have a very trusted source who told me that during the game where Minshew was replaced, when Minshew replaced Foles, at halftime when the Jags hadn't scored a touchdown or a field goal, Shad Khan got on the phone and said, "Put Minshew in."
Well, good. So if he's taking a little more of a Jerry Jones approach to things, I think it's needed at this point, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Tony Khan, his son. He seems like a backroom type of guy. Like, I want to pour over the data. I'm not the guy that's going to step up and say, "Do that." Shad Khan is the guy that will say, "Do that."
Yeah.
So
he's got the cojones.
he needs to at this point.
Yeah, I agree. He needs to take control. And I mean, Khan, I would say I would have lumped him into there. Khan should have been ashamed of himself too from this product that he's put on the field, and he probably is. But I don't blame Khan because he did what I would have done, and he turned the team over to Tom Coughlin.
No, he said, "I'm not a football guy. I'm going to get the best football guys that I know." There's
I would have done the
that.
same thing. I would have done the same thing.
And we were all super happy about that call.
Yep. But it's looking like it's not paying off too well.
Hey, and you know what? Khan's got an ego, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's got, he's in that yacht book, the top 100 yachts in the world. He wants to be in that top 100 Forbes list of billionaires. That's his goal. It's embarrassing showing up in an owners meeting with what the Jaguars are doing right now. So he's gonna do something.
You want to know how much swagger Shad Khan has? When he was being sued by his former company because his bumper company was blew up.
Yeah.
In lieu of the bumper company that he left, he spent like hours, weeks in a library studying the law and defended himself.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. He hired the cheapest attorney that he could find so he could defend himself.
And that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Not at all. That's the type of guy that he is. I mean, that's the guy that he does.
He worked as a cashier at a bumper company, and he now owns multiple sports franchises.
It was called Flexingate.
Yeah.
He worked for Flexingate. He left Flexingate, started his own company. Flexingate sued him. He countersued them, and then now he owns Flexingate.
And he won.
He won the case, and now he owns that company.
Yeah.
That's baller.
So he's
going to get involved. He's going to a dude that'll spend a week in a library studying law to defend himself.
And be able to actually do it.
Yeah,
he might could attempt that.
Yeah. He's
See, now we're talking about some positive stuff.
Absolutely. Shad Khan's awesome, and people give him crap, but dude, the dude's trying. He kept the team here when probably a lot of owners wouldn't when the Weavers sold the team.
Yeah.
And if people want to get discouraged, just be careful with who you're channeling your frustration toward, because Shad Khan is an advocate of the city of Jacksonville. And I'm not saying that he's married here. I'm not saying that he's going to keep the team here forever, but he is an advocate, and he is helping, and he's building, and he's doing things like that. And the last thing we would want to do is run him off and look back and say, man, we lost a team because we treated a guy like that like crap.
And also, I mean, to be fair, like, Khan's obviously much better at these type of situations and decisions than you, I, or 98% of Jaguars fans out there. So we all like to, like, say our piece, tout our stuff, but
yeah, we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us, unless you got anything else you want to add.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're getting to this is, like we said, this is the dog days, man. If we appreciate all the fans that are listening. We didn't pump our YouTube channel once in the last 2 episodes.
We did not. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll post a little Twitter link, but hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We like YouTube. It's cool. It's fun. It's better than we like these videos better than the podcasts. For me personally, anyways. So make sure you subscribe.
Jason just
to that.
likes looking at himself.
I love looking at myself. The only thing better than listening to myself is looking at myself and listening to myself. Double whammy. Hands down the best.
You own that. That's great.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook even. We're on there, although our activity is quite limited.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Make sure you check out our last episode with Zach Goodell, who Joey called Zach Goddard earlier.
I apologize.
So,
I was still thinking tight end.
It's actually Zach Goodell. So make sure you check that one out. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us and listening to this podcast. And as always, go Jags.
Go Jags.